In this video, we'll learn how to round numbers to indicated place. In a finance chapter or in a finance course, rounding is important and it's done in many of the concepts. So let's start with problem 1. We want to round number 8,632,051 to the nearest million. So basically, you can think like this: 8,600,000, it's closer to 8 million or it's closer to 9 million? Well, it is closer to 9 million. So we are going to round it to 9 million. Mathematically, there is a rule. Once we know to which place to round, we look at the number to the right, and if it is greater than or equal to 5, we add 1 to the to the number that we want to round. So basically 8 plus 1 becomes 9. If we look at the decimal to the right and is less than 5, then we leave the number that we want to round unchanged, so it would be 8 million, and all the other places become 0. So, but in this case, because 6 is more than 5, we just add 1 and all the other decimals become 0. So let's take a look at, for example, 2. We have 25,952,938, and we want to round to this place, which means the 100,000 place. So basically, again, what we do is we look at the decimal, at the digit next to it. If it is 5 or more, then we are going to add 1 to this one. So it will be, well, if I add 1 to 9, is going to be 10. So basically, I will have to add a 1 to the 5 as well. So it's going to be 26 million. All the decimals after the place where we do the rounding become 0. And if you think about it, you have 25,952,938. That is closer to 26 millions rather than to 5 million. Or we can say 952,938, it's closer to a million than closer to 900,000. So that's why that million is added to the 25 millions. All right, let's do another one. Let's take a look at problem 3. We want to round to the nearest 100. So basically, here we look at the next digit. It's 1, so it's less than 5. What that means is we copy the number that we have up to the digit we are doing the rounding, and here this one we are going to leave it that way. So we are just going to be 1 and followed by zeros after it. So in other words, we can look at this 119. Is it closer to 100 or it's closer to 200? Well, it's closer to 100. So we have 803,100. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Number 4, we have 73,693. So we want to round it to the nearest 10,000. So again, the next digit is less than 5. So that means we leave 7 the way it is, and we change all the other digits in zeros. So basically, 73,693, it's closer to 70,000 rather than to 80,000. Let's take a look at another one. Let's do some decimals here because they are going to come up in problems a lot. So let's take a look at 13. So here is the decimal point, right? And then we want to round this. So the question is this 4 going to stay 4 or is going to become 5? So if we look at the next digit is more than 5, so we are going to add a 1 to the 4. So it's going to be 44.54435 and then zeros. So it's approximated, or it's rounded. Let's take a look at problem 16. So we want to round to the nearest tenth. So we look at the next decimal, which is less than 5. So that means 74. The 9 remains 9. We can put 0 after it if we want, or we can just leave it. But that's how we round 74.91. Let's take a look at another one. Like, for example, in this problem in 19, it says to the nearest thousands. So this one is the tenth, this one is the hundred, this one is the thousand. So they didn't underline it for us. We will do that. We look at the next decimal or digit. Because it's less than 5, that means this one that we are looking at is going to stay the same way. So basically this one here, which I'm gonna make I want it to do blue, it's gonna stay 1. So 9.311, and instead of that 3 we put 0. Let's look at the tenth. So the tenth is this one. So the question is it gonna be stay 3 or is it gonna be 4? Well, because the next digit is 7, which is more than 5, this is gonna be plus 1. So it's going to be 6.4, and all the other ones become 0, so that is actually 6.4. And in our class, it's gonna be rounded to the nearest whole number. So basically, if, for example, I ignore this in problem 20 and I say round this to the nearest whole number, this would be 7.0000, or just, let's say, equal to 7. So popular rounding in our class is going to be to the whole number. So that's right before the decimal point, to the tenth, which is 1 decimal after decimal point, or hundreds, which is 2 decimals after decimal point. Usually the hundreds are more popular because that means to the nearest cent. To nearest cent, because that's what we do when we deal with money. I hope this helps.